Put me in, coach. What's the word, YouTube? It's your boy, Coach TDOT. They subbed me out. But I'm back in the game, coach. I'm back with some more heat for y'all boys, man. So check it out, chat. I got a very interesting video for y'all today, man. So today we gonna be reacting to how good was Manu Ginobili actually? Oh my goodness. Hey, so look, we gonna react to this today because I saw how crazy y'all went for the Manu Ginobili highlights, folks. Y'all was going crazy on that video, man. So I'm like, G, I'm gonna bring them some more Manu, G, so we could really see how good he actually was. Like, cause obviously I was around to see Manu Ginobili play, but I wasn't really no Spurs fan. I wasn't too into the Spurs. Like, the way that they played was boring to me. You know, Manu used to come off the bench, but I know Manu was one of the first players to really, like, do the Euro step. You feel me? And he was a winner, G. You know, and he was cold, bro. I know he was good, but he just was a six-man, you know? He wasn't really, like, no starter or nothing like that, so I don't feel like he got the notoriety that he deserved, G. But, you know, we're going to find out today how good he actually was. For all my new viewers, I don't fake none of my reactions. All my reactions are live. And we're going to watch this together. You feel me? Man, let's get right into this, man. Y'all already know how we coming. We not just the best in the city, but the best in the world, G. Without further ado, man, it's Manu Ginobili.
Manu Ginobili is very hard to evaluate, even for fans who've watched his entire career. From one perspective, he had the talent of a superstar. He had the raw ability to lead his own team if given the opportunity. In the NBA, he's had moments where he looked like the best player on the Spurs, but for the most part, he was always the second or third fiddle. On the other hand, when you just look at his numbers, it's not really impressive at face value. He spent most of his career coming off the bench, playing in limited minutes, so he won't have the raw stats of a normal star. However, his impact went way beyond those numbers. How's it going, fellas? My name's Andy, and today we're gonna talk about Manu Ginobili, who recently retired from the Spurs. So how good was he actually?
The 57th selection in the 1999
57?
NBA draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Manu Ginobili from Argentina.
What? Nigga, they didn't even say the man's name right. What they just say?
Spurs select Manu Ginobili.
They just called that nigga Emmanuel Ginobili, folks. Hey, G, you know, after they said his name like that, he already knew he had to come out and make a name for himself, G. Because there's no way that's how y'all pronounce that man's name on draft night. And he was the 57th pick? That's crazy. Call folks Emmanuel Ginobili, folks. Y'all bogus as hell, folks.
From Argentina.
I would have never forgot that.
To start things off, Ginobili was the 57th overall pick in the 1999 NBA draft, but he didn't come over to the NBA until 2002 at the age of 25.
Dang.
Before that, he was playing professionally in the EuroLeague, and despite being an unknown to most NBA fans, he was still considered as one of the best international players at the time. R.C. Buford saw Ginobili play a couple of times, so he had an idea of how good he was, but they didn't know if it could translate to the NBA. And early in his career, it was pretty rough. The Spurs were known to be a steady engine, the model of stability. Every player knew their role and every player followed the game plan. However, Ginobili was different. He was kind of a loose cannon. He had no concept of stability and order because as he was playing basketball, he was making stuff up as he goes. The crossovers, the Euro steps, crazy passes, those were the things he was known for. Ginobili was great at adapting to every situation, to the point where he didn't even think about the game plan. Although this type of playstyle made Ginobili into the great player he became, sometimes the coaches had a hard time dealing with it. Especially when he was younger, you don't really want a young player going Rambo all the time. But as the years passed by, the Spurs realized that, you know, he is who he is. No amount of coaching can change that. Popovich said it best.
First half, what made you think that he could spur you starting him the third quarter?
He's Manu Ginobili.
Fair enough.
He's just Manu Ginobili.
Hey, that's real talk.
Statistically, Manu's raw stats were not that impressive, but they were pretty good.
That was tough.
Statistically, Manu's raw stats were not that impressive, but they were pretty good adjusted for his minutes played. His stats were not that impressive, but they were pretty good adjusted for his minutes played. His best stretch was from 2005 to 2011, where he averaged about 17 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists per game in about 29 minutes.
Okay.
During this time, he also became a 2-time All-Star and won the 6th Man of the Year in 2008.
2-time All-Star off the bench? Yo! What? I don't think nobody else was an All-Star coming off the bench, G. Jamal Crawford was never no All-Star. Lou Williams was never an All-Star. J.R. Smith was not. I don't think J.R. Smith was ever an All-Star. So this nigga was a 2-time All-Star, G. That is crazy, folks. And won 6th Man of the Year, averaging 19. 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 40% from the 3. Hey, he was cold.
That was also his best individual season, averaging nearly 20 points and shot over 40% from 3. His best playoff series was probably in the 2005 finals, where he looked like he was the best player on the floor. Of course, Tim Duncan still won Finals MVP, but Ginobili had an argument too. His offensive production was amazing, especially playing against the Pistons, who are known for their defense. Overall, these don't look like superstar numbers, but as the second or third option on the team, they're really good. Just like with most players on the Spurs, it wasn't his job to put up a lot of stats. His job is to help his team win, and that's what he did.
Hell yeah.
With that being said, if you look deeper into the numbers, his impact was actually really good. In 2008, he was 6th in the league in win shares per 48 minutes and 3rd in league box plus minus. In fact, he had multiple seasons where he finished top 10 in both of these categories. Even though he was never considered a top 10 player in the league, he was even ranked higher than Tim Duncan this year in both categories. Offensively, we all know how good Manu was. In his prime, he was tearing up defenses left and right. Offensively, we ranked higher than Tim Duncan this year in both categories.
Oh my gosh. Yo, Ming, bro. You and Alonzo Mourning gotta be two of the most dunked on bigs in NBA history, bro. Why did y'all used to get y'all ass poked so much? Like, this Manu Ginobili, there's no reason he should be getting up this high poking you like this, G. And when you put your hand in there, your hand is right by the rim. That's unacceptable, man. Just terrible.
Offensively, we all know how good Manu was. In his prime, he was tearing up defenses left and right, and I'd argue that out of the Spurs' big three, he was their best offensive player. You know, when we talk about players who can give you instant offense off the bench, Manu did that and even more.
Oh my gosh.
Even though he only won the 6th Man of the Year once, he was, in my opinion, the best 6th man in the history of the NBA.
Oh my God.
Yeah, better than Lou Williams, better than Vinnie Johnson, better than Jamal Crawford, which, I don't believe he should have won 3 to begin with. Anyway, during Manu's prime, every other team knew that he was the best bench player in the league because he had the talent of a superstar. With his craftiness and athleticism, Manu quickly became one of the best shot creators in the entire league. His teammates, his peers, everybody praised him. And back in 2005, Duncan said, "With his controlled chaos, he changes the game for us. I think we played with such a structure for so many years. To add an aspect like that, it helps us tremendously." Defensively, Ginobili was great. He was great at taking charges. Overall, he might have looked better than what he was because he always played on a great defensive team, but he was still good individually. However, his defense was sometimes very controversial. Manu was credited for inventing and popularizing a lot of things in the NBA, especially his patented Eurostep. But he was also well known for being a flopper. Arguably the biggest flopper in the history of the sports. He really made flopping popular in the NBA. Obviously, there were some floppers before him, but he really made it mainstream because everybody started to realize that they could get a huge advantage by doing it. So
y'all telling me Manu created flopping, folks? I don't believe it. I think Bron really created. I don't think Bron created flopping, but he the one that made it mainstream. Like, niggas started really talking about flopping and how bad flopping is for the game when Bron started really doing it. I don't really remember people talking about Manu being a real big flopper. Like, he probably was, but it wasn't like no trending topic. Like, you feel me?
It's getting the opponents into foul trouble or just flopping your way to the basket to get free throws. This was the part of his game that many fans did not like. Especially since the Spurs were already so good anyway. You add on the flopping and all the foul calls in the playoffs, and it gets frustrating. It was a love-hate relationship. Everyone loved the way Ginobili played, but they hated all the times he flopped. Charles Barkley and Kobe have both said that Ginobili was their favorite player back in the day. His competitiveness and drive separated him from other players. His crafty and sometimes crazy playstyle separated him from the rest of his team. But he elevated the Spurs to new heights. Heights that they could not have reached without him. After announcing his retirement, just looking at all these players supporting him, it was incredible. Everybody knows he changed the game and made it a lot better, and a lot of players looked up to him. James Harden is the guy who's gotten a lot of comparisons to Manu. And Harden himself has said that he used to watch Manu all the time and modeled his game after him. Harden's also a lefty. He mastered the Euro step, the step backs, the craftiness in drawing fouls, and even the flops. Their games are very similar, and I believe Harden is the player that Ginobili could have been if he was the man on his own team. As the years passed by and Ginobili continued to get older, he saw his minutes continue to decrease.
Y'all think? Because I'm pretty sure if y'all watching this right now, y'all Manu Ginobili fans. Like, do y'all think that if Manu had his own team, he would have been like a superstar type player? I want to know, G. I think he had the potential to probably be a superstar. If he had his own team and, they let him rock out and just shoot all the balls like how James did. Like, if the Spurs would have, like, say after they won them first 2 rings and they would have traded Manu, like how the Thunder traded James, who knows? Who knows what Manu could have did for another organization? But, everything happened for a reason, G.
But he still provided that spark, that energy the team needed, and occasionally he'd show flashes of his former self. Now, despite me talking about all this stuff, I never even mentioned Ginobili's greatest accomplishment, and that was in the 2004 Summer Olympics. Argentina vs Team USA in the semifinals. Ginobili led Argentina with 29 points and toppled USA, who've always been the favorites to win. That game, that whole tournament made the world realize how good Ginobili really was. Now, I know that in that year, Team USA wasn't great because a lot of the big stars were not playing and there was a lot of controversy with minutes and being unprepared and all that stuff, but the fact is, Ginobili did something that hasn't been done for decades. The last time that the USA basketball team won bronze in the Olympics was in 1988, and back then, NBA players weren't even allowed to play in the Olympics. So basically, Ginobili did something that has never been done before, and up until today, it still hasn't. He won NBA championships, he won a EuroLeague championship, and an Olympic gold medal. Only one other person has ever done that, and that was Bill Bradley. Nobody else has all 3 of these accomplishments under their belt.
Wow.
So, how good was Manu Ginobili actually?
Hold on.
Under their belt.
Hey, Luka could. If Luka, because Luka was a EuroLeague champion, if he wins the NBA championship, he can. And if he win gold in the Olympics, which I don't think, where's Luka from? Slovenia? I don't think they're going to win the Olympic gold. So I don't know, G. Manu might be the only one that holds this record for forever.
So, how good was Manu Ginobili actually? He was amazing. But in the middle of his prime, Manu moved to the bench because it was the sacrifice he needed to make to help his team win. As for the Hall of Fame conversation, Ginobili's
So Manu started at the beginning of his career, G? I don't even think folks said that. Like, he just randomly said what he just said, G. Y'all let me know. Did Manu start at the beginning of his career and then they moved him to the bench? Like, or was he always coming off the bench? Because the way he just made it sound like was like he was starting in the beginning of his career, folks. I don't know.
Definitely a Hall of Famer. I'm not sure if he's gonna get in on his first ballot, but he will eventually. Taking into account his success in the EuroLeague and in the Olympics, he's definitely a lock. Anyway, that's all folks. Let me know your thoughts on Manu Ginobili. I hope you enjoyed.
All right, y'all. That's the end. We got to look up Manu Ginobili stats, G. Because I don't know, folks. I gotta see. We got to see how he was coming for real. Hold on. Damn, Manu was starting. He was starting early on in his career. Then after that, he was not starting like that, G. His last 4 seasons, he didn't start not one single game. That's tough. So he stopped being a starter probably this year, 06, 07. It looked like he was a legit starter for their team for a good 2 seasons. These 2 seasons. So the years he was all-star. The first year he was an all-star, he was a starter. And in 2010-11, he was a starter. So, hey! So that just proved my case right here, folks. If Manu Ginobili would have been a starter throughout most of his career, G, he would have been an all-star, superstar. Cause every year that he started and played legit games, G, he was an all-star, folks. 2005, 2004, and 05, he started every game. He was an all-star, G. And he averaged 16. 2010-11, he started every game but one, and he averaged 17 points. And he was an all-star. Like, come on, man. He could have easily been a superstar type player, bro. That's bogus, G. They bogus. Spurs, I don't know. Like, y'all talking about y'all had to bring him off the bench to sacrifice. Like, man, I don't understand that shit. Like, I would never want to be a 6th man in the NBA. Like, because as a coach, I'm starting my best 5, G. Like, what am I, bringing somebody that could start off the bench for it? That just never made sense to me, folks. Because the way I look at it is we going to start off hot. I'm going to bring one of my better players off and bring in, the strongest legit bench player in the game. Give one of my better players a little breather. And then I'm going to sub my better player in for the other best player, that's out there on the court. That's the other starter. If y'all get what I'm saying, I'm not finna just have one of my potential real-life starters coming off the bench just so we can have more bench power. Like, what? No, we gonna start off the game as hot as possible, busting y'all ass, and y'all gonna have to adjust. But I'm not finna be bringing one of my better players off the bench just to say we got a bench. Like, come on, man. But, I guess it worked for the Spurs, though, folks. It worked for the Spurs. They was champions. You know, I think Manu, how many rings Manu got, G? I think he either got 3 or 4. Let me see. How many rings do Manu got? Manu was a 4-time NBA champion, G. 03, 05, 07, and 2014, folks. So, Manu had a great career, G. I'm pretty sure he probably wouldn't trade it in for the world, bro. And that's good, bro, because he's a foreigner, G. And foreigners be they be real good people, for, especially when they get to this level of fame and shit like that. They be looking out for their country and building houses and just helping out in the community and shit like that. I'm not sure if Manu is that type, but they be real down to earth people from overseas, folks. So you feel me? All my overseas people watching or my real Manu fans, y'all already know, G. Manu is probably a good guy, in real life, folks. But hey, that's how good Manu Ginobili was, man. So for all my new viewers, I hope y'all enjoyed that. We're going to keep coming. We're going to see how this Manu video do. We may bring more Manu videos for y'all, G. Who knows? All right? But just keep supporting, man. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. It's your boy, Coach TDOT, man. I'm up out of here. I love y'all.